really had a chance, I thought, to look at my life and try to overcome some of my baggage.
Growing up as the daughter of legendary actress Shirley MacLaine might seem like a dream come true, but for Sai Parker, it was the complete opposite. She grew up feeling ignored and neglected, even with all the fame around her. While the world admired her mom, Sai was struggling with her own feelings of loneliness. Want to know what it's really like growing up in the shadow of fame? Stay tuned because Sai's story will shock you. Sai Parkers Memoir. Growing up as the daughter of famed actor Shirley MacLaine, my mom, Sai Parker, writes in her book Lucky Me, My Life With and Without about the challenges she encountered. Because her mother, Shirley MacLaine, was often absent from her life and preoccupied with her work, Sai had a lonely childhood. Her mother sent Sai to live with her dad, Steve Parker, in Japan, 2 years old. Her father lived with another lady called Mickey, who treated Sai like a wife and was not particularly kind or sympathetic. Missed by her mother, Sai felt isolated in her dad's house. She felt isolated and didn't know why her mother hadn't been there for her. Growing up, Sai saw her mother little at all. Usually she did it during quick school breaks. She loved spending time with her mother, but the trips were brief. Then Shirley would go back to her acting career. Sai wanted her mother to participate more in her life, not merely visit for brief periods. Sai felt depressed and useless each time Shirley departed. Sai was lonely since she lived far from her mother. To feel more close to her, she would frequently see films her mother starred in. This helped her somewhat, but it didn't replace having a loving dad at her side. Sai questioned her value when she was a child without her mother nearby. She felt unworthy of her mother's attention a lot of time. Shirley had some opinions Sai would not grasp. She thought in rebirth, that is, in new life one leads after death. Shirley informed Sai that the nasty actions of her father were a necessary spiritual trip for them. These concepts did not assist Sai understand why her parents were not more interested or loving in her life. Sai claimed her early years were quite lonely. Unlike most children, she lacked a mother to assist and encourage her. She had to learn instead how to negotiate life alone. Although it may seem exhilarating to be the daughter of a well-known actor, Sai found it to be much the reverse. Growing older, Sai decided to publish a book on her life. She discussed in Lucky Me her experience of growing up being neglected by her mother. She discussed how her experiences shaped her and her difficulties, determining her place in the world. Sai said she understood the strain Shirley experienced being a well-known actress. Shirley had to spend less time with her daughter since she worked hard to retain her Hollywood profession. Shirley became rather offended while reading the text. She labeled the book made up as what Sai penned was untrue. Shirley felt the book made her seem like a poor mother. Their debate gained notoriety and many started talking about their connection. Sai's narrative emphasizes the challenges of growing up with a parent who is highly career-oriented, especially if that parent is well-known. Shirley was a superb actor, but Sai felt neglected and undervalued. Her book made abundantly evident how challenging it can be to be the kid of a renowned person, therefore highlighting the complexity of life. Sai still yearned for serenity, independent of events. She penned the book to better grasp her life and to communicate her suffering. She wanted to attempt to forgive her mother and move ahead. Shirley MacLaine speaks. In her autobiography Lucky Me, Sai Parker describes her life as Shirley MacLaine's daughter. She wanted to relate her experiences and the mental difficulties she encountered. Shirley, however, responded hardly at anything in terms of assistance. The actress refuted several of Sai's allegations regarding their challenging relationship and freely referred to the book as fiction. MacLaine's remark exacerbated their tension as mother and daughter struggled to mend their relationship. Shirley felt she brought her child up out of love, but Sai felt abandoned. MacLaine claimed that her great concentration on her work demonstrated her dedication to her profession, rather than that she was neglecting other aspects. Shirley MacLaine's defense of her job choices as a mother stemmed from her conviction that she was giving Sai the greatest life she could have known. Though she couldn't be there as much as Sachi wanted, MacLaine said she worked hard to ensure her daughter was financially safe and had chances to achieve. Acting, she thought, enabled her to fulfill her potential and support her family. Spending time away from her daughter was not maltreatment for MacLaine. Rather, it was a step towards her personal happiness. She thought she had to give up something for Sachi's secure existence, even if it meant missing certain emotional events. MacLaine's upbringing of her children was much affected by her spiritual views. Often seeing life in a way that concentrated on a larger cosmic goal, Shirley thought in rebirth and other New Age concepts. Her spiritual ideas shaped her behavior, particularly in her connection with Sachi. Shirley chose to parent from a more spiritual standpoint. Her daughter should, she believed, go on a spiritual trip similar to hers. Thinking that this might benefit Sachi in the future, Shirley occasionally decided to concentrate on finding herself and developing her career instead of carrying out conventional family responsibilities. Her commitment to acting complicated her work as a mother. Shirley worked very hard and successfully in Hollywood, where her employment demanded a lot of concentration and energy. This made her personal life, including her friendship with Sachi, often less of a focus. Although MacLaine's work success meant to her, it also caused a distance in her connection with her daughter. Still, Shirley considered the great value of the sacrifices she made for her career in enhancing their quality of living. Once Sachi's book was published, people began to see MacLaine differently. Many readers sensed Sachi and her difficulties. Her book demonstrated the psychological effects of having a mother who valued her work more than her daughter. People began to see Shirley differently, questioning if her dedication to her work had compromised her parenting. Shirley was a star and spared some harsh criticism, but the book nonetheless changed public opinion of her. Though Sachi's allegations revealed a different side of the actress's personal life, Shirley MacLaine was renowned for her talent. Given this, several supporters and detractors began to wonder if MacLaine's employment choices, particularly in light of the sacrifices many mothers make for their children, were overly centered on herself. Still, MacLaine stayed by her choices, claiming she performed as best she could given the circumstances. She argued that her art defined her and that she could not give it up, even for the sentiments of her daughter, a family apart. Sai Parker's childhood was defined by a family dynamic that differed from most. Raised in Japan with her father, Steve Parker, and his mistress, Sachi's early life lacked the stability and emotional warmth that many children experience. Her father, though physically present, was emotionally distant. Steve spent much of his time focused on his own life and ambitions, offering little affection or guidance to his daughter. His emotional absence left Sachi feeling neglected and unimportant, even though she was living under his roof. The bond between father and daughter was weak, and she often found herself longing for a connection that was never fully realized. Growing up in Japan added another layer of complexity to Sachi's life. She was separated from her mother, Shirley MacLaine, who was frequently busy with her acting career and often traveled for work. In this foreign land, with a father who was emotionally unavailable and a mother who was physically absent, Sachi had to navigate her childhood largely alone. Her father's relationship with his mistress only deepened the emotional distance. Sachi never felt fully integrated into their life together. Instead of a happy, close-knit family, she found herself in a household that was fragmented and cold, where emotional needs went unmet. This non-traditional family structure meant that Sachi had to learn to rely on herself from a very young age. Sachi's experiences growing up were far from typical. Instead of a warm, nurturing environment, her life was shaped by emotional neglect. Her father's indifference and her mother's distance meant that Sachi had to learn to cope with feelings of loneliness and abandonment early on. She didn't have the same comforts or stability that many children take for granted. Without a strong parental figure to lean on, Sachi was forced to become independent, mature faster than she should have, and learn to process emotions on her own. The absence of consistent affection and emotional guidance during her formative years left a lasting imprint on her. Shirley MacLaine's involvement in Sachi's life was limited, as the actress was often focused on her career. When Shirley did visit Japan, her visits were brief and filled with distractions. Sachi remembers those moments as fleeting, filled with moments of longing and desire for her mother's attention, but never truly fulfilling. Shirley would visit between filming projects, but these moments never lasted long enough to build a solid connection. As an actress with an intense career schedule, Shirley struggled to balance her professional commitments with her role as a mother. Sachi's emotional needs during these brief visits went largely unnoticed, and Shirley's presence, though appreciated, only highlighted the deep sense of emotional absence Sachi already felt. The impact of Shirley's limited involvement in Sachi's life was profound. Instead of a supportive, loving relationship with her mother, Sachi was left with moments of fleeting attention that left her feeling more isolated. Her mother's career-driven focus meant that she was often physically absent, and when she was present, her emotional presence was equally absent. For a child longing for comfort and validation, these brief visits felt disconnected from the reality of her everyday struggles. Sachi needed consistency, but instead she got only temporary moments of affection, which were insufficient to fill the emotional void. Without her mother's guidance, Sachi had to cope on her own. She learned to navigate the world without the safety net that many children rely on. Instead of being able to lean on her mother during difficult moments, Sachi found herself searching for emotional support elsewhere, often relying on her own internal resources. She became independent at an early age, knowing that she could not depend on her parents for the comfort she desperately needed. This emotional isolation had a lasting effect on her, and the coping mechanisms she developed during childhood followed her into adulthood. Fame's effect on family. Growing up as a child of a famous person presents unique challenges that often go unnoticed. For Sai Parker, daughter of actress Shirley MacLaine, growing up in the spotlight meant navigating a world where her emotional needs were frequently overlooked. The emotional toll of being the child of a public figure can deeply affect a child's sense of identity and well-being. While the public focuses on the celebrity parent's career, the child's struggles are often dismissed. One of the toughest challenges for children of celebrities is living in the constant shadow of their parents' fame. In Sachi's case, her mother's Hollywood success meant that Shirley's every move was reported, while Sachi's personal life stayed private. This privacy, however, didn't shield Sachi from the emotional strain of growing up under constant scrutiny. Children of famous individuals often feel overshadowed by their parents' success. No matter their personal achievements, they are seen through the lens of their parents' fame, making it difficult to develop their own identity or self-worth. Sachi's experiences mirrored those of many celebrity children. While her mother's career flourished, Sachi felt emotionally distant from her. Shirley's intense work schedule left little room for maternal care. This lack of stability during her formative years, combined with emotional neglect from both parents, led Sachi to feel isolated. The emotional distance created by her mother's fame deepened Sachi's feelings of abandonment. For many children of public figures, their struggles are overlooked, while the public focuses on the success of the parent. This emotional isolation is not unique to Sachi. Many celebrity children have shared similar experiences. For instance, actor Michael Douglas has spoken about the pressure of growing up in the shadow of his famous parents. The constant media attention and the expectation to continue the family legacy can be overwhelming. Like Sachi, children of celebrities often find it difficult to escape the weight of their parents' fame. The emotional toll of being raised in the public eye is amplified by the unrelenting media focus. These children struggle to manage their own challenges while dealing with the pressures of their parents' public life. In Hollywood, the effects of fame on family relationships are often discussed. The demands of fame can lead to strained relationships, as the emotional needs of children are often neglected. Famous parents are frequently absent due to work commitments, and when they are home, their attention is divided. This dynamic creates emotional disconnection, especially for children who long for their parents' presence. When a parent's career takes precedence, their child's needs can go unmet. The pressure of public scrutiny only worsens these emotional struggles. Children of celebrities often find their private lives exposed, making it difficult to maintain healthy, private family relationships. Personal struggles, family conflicts, or emotional issues that would normally be dealt with privately become public spectacles. This constant media attention intensifies the emotional stress children experience in their family dynamics. It creates an environment where normal family issues are magnified, leaving little space for healing or resolution. For Sai Parker, the emotional isolation she experienced growing up under her mother's fame had lasting effects. The challenges of being the child of a famous parent were largely invisible to the outside world, leaving Sai to face them alone. The weight of constant public scrutiny affected her sense of identity and relationships throughout her life. Children of celebrities often feel their emotional struggles are overlooked. The pressure of living under the shadow of fame can leave them feeling neglected, isolated, and disconnected from their true selves. Sai Parker's journey to forgiveness. Sai Parker wrote her memoir to share her truth and confront the emotional wounds caused by her strained relationship with her mother, Shirley MacLaine. Throughout her life, Sai struggled with feelings of abandonment, as her mother's career often took precedence over their relationship. Writing her memoir allowed Sai to express her pain, seek closure, and reclaim her voice, which had often been overshadowed by Shirley's fame. It was a way for Sai to process the struggles of her past and find a path toward healing. Growing up in the shadow of a famous mother, Sai felt ignored and neglected. The public's fascination with Shirley MacLaine's career left little room for Sai to be seen as her own person. Her memoir gave her the opportunity to tell her side of the story, offering a raw, honest account of her childhood and emotional experiences. Writing provided Sai a space to release feelings of frustration and sadness that had built up over the years, allowing her to confront emotions she hadn't been able to address before. As Sai reflected on her childhood, she began to understand that forgiveness was essential for her healing. With time and maturity, she gained a more compassionate view of her mother's actions. Sai came to realize that Shirley's emotional distance was not due to neglect, but was a result of the demands of her career. As a successful actress and public figure, Shirley had to prioritize her work, which often left little time for personal relationships. Though it was painful, Sai recognized that her mother's focus on her career was not personal, but a consequence of the pressures that came with her success. Sai also began to acknowledge her mother's remarkable achievements. Shirley MacLaine had broken barriers in Hollywood, paving the way for women in the entertainment industry. Sai saw that her mother's accomplishments, while they came at a personal cost, had shaped her worldview and had been an important part of who she was. While this didn't excuse the emotional absence, it helped Sai appreciate Shirley's complexities and the difficult choices she had to make. It allowed Sai to view her mother not just through the lens of pain, but with a more nuanced understanding of her struggles. Forgiveness for Sai was a long and difficult journey. It didn't mean forgetting the hurt she experienced, but rather letting go of the resentment that had held her back. Over time, Sai worked to forgive Shirley, understanding that this was essential for her own emotional peace. Forgiveness freed her from the grip of anger, allowing her to move forward with greater emotional clarity and strength. Reconciliation was a key part of Sai's healing process. She began to see her mother's decisions in a new light, realizing they weren't intended to hurt her, but were shaped by factors Sai hadn't understood as a child. While it wasn't an easy process, Sai started to accept and make peace with Shirley's choices. Her memoir helped her reflect on the past and gain a deeper understanding of her mother's actions, bringing them closer to reconciliation. Sai's memoir wasn't just about recounting past hurts, it was a step toward healing, understanding, and forgiveness. By confronting the complexities of their relationship, Sai found peace and emotional freedom, allowing her to move forward in her life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen for more content you won't want to miss. See you there.